You know that feeling, right? That deep, kind of nagging ache of loneliness? We've all been there. But what if I told you it's not just a feeling? What if it's a biological alarm system, as real and as urgent as feeling hungry or thirsty? Okay, let's get into this, because some incredible new research is uncovering the hidden brain circuits that literally make us crave connection. So this brings us to the big question. Why does being isolated actually physically feel bad? Is it just something in our heads, a feeling we can kind of talk ourselves out of? Or is it something way deeper, something hardwired into our very survival code? To figure this out, scientists are using this really powerful analogy. Think about it. On one side, you have your basic needs, like hunger and thirst. Your body keeps track of things, and when you're low on food or water, it sends out an alarm, that drive that makes you go get what you need. Well, this new research suggests that loneliness works in the exact same way. It's not just some vague emotion. It's a fundamental biological drive telling you, hey, go find your people. Now, the first huge clue for this whole idea comes from something called the social rebound. It's a really simple but profound observation that gives us a way to actually measure this social hunger. So here's how they did the experiment. Pretty clever, actually. Researchers take a group of mice who are used to living together. First, they just watch them and get a baseline for how much they normally hang out. Then they take one mouse and isolate it for a little while, maybe a day, maybe 3 days, maybe 5. And then, the final step, they put the isolated mouse back with its buddy and just watch what happens. And the results were just crystal clear. The longer a mouse was kept in isolation, the more intensely it socialized when it was reunited. After just 1 day, you could see a jump in interaction. After 3 days, it was even higher. And get this, after 5 days, that mouse was practically glued to its friend. That right there is the social rebound effect. It's a measurable, predictable response to being deprived of social contact. Okay, so if social connection really is a biological drive, kind of like hunger, then there has to be a control center for it somewhere in the brain, right? So the hunt was on. The investigation moved from just watching behavior to searching for the actual neurons that act as the brain's social switch. And they had a prime suspect, the hypothalamus. This tiny, ancient part of our brain is basically mission control for all our most essential survival needs. It's got specific little clusters of neurons that handle hunger, thirst, sleep, you name it. So scientists figured if there's a circuit for social need, it's gotta be in there somewhere. And boom, they were right. Using some pretty advanced imaging, they found 2 totally new groups of neurons right there in the hypothalamus. The first group, let's just call them the loneliness neurons. They fired up like crazy when a mouse was alone. The second group, the social satiation neurons, did the exact opposite. They lit up when the mice were reunited. It's like a seesaw. When one is up, the other is down. Finding these neurons was a huge deal, but it immediately led to the next big question. Do these neurons just reflect the feeling of being lonely, or do they actually cause it? To figure that out, they needed to find a way to grab the controls and flip that switch themselves. And they did it with this incredible technology called optogenetics. And yes, it is as sci-fi as it sounds. Basically, it lets scientists put a special light-sensitive protein into very specific neurons. Then they can shine a tiny fiber optic light into the brain and literally turn those exact neurons on or off. It's like a remote control for the brain. And the results were just stunning. First, they took a perfectly happy, content mouse and used the light to artificially turn on its loneliness neurons. Instantly, that mouse started trying to socialize, acting just like it had been isolated for days. Then they did the reverse. They took a lonely, isolated mouse and used the light to turn off its loneliness neurons. And what happened? It suddenly lost that intense drive to go hang out with its friend. This was the smoking gun. I mean, the researchers themselves put it perfectly. They said the activity of these neurons isn't just related to loneliness. It's essential for creating the feeling, and turning them on is enough, all by itself, to trigger social behavior. They had found the literal on-off switch for loneliness in the brain. But wait, there was still one giant piece of the puzzle missing. How does the brain even know when it's alone versus when it's with others? What is the sensory input that's actually flipping the switch? The answer, it turns out, was something nobody really expected. So the scientists started by testing the usual suspects. Could it be vision? Nope. Turns out blind mice show the exact same social rebound as mice that can see. Okay, what about smell and sound?
So they tried putting the mice in cages separated by a divider with holes in it. They could hear and smell each other just fine, but they couldn't touch. And incredibly, that wasn't enough. The mice's brains still acted as if they were totally alone.
So if it's not sight, and it's not sound or smell, what's left? The answer, and get ready for this, is touch. Simple, direct, physical contact. That's the key signal the brain is using to know whether its social tank is full. To prove this, they set up this really elegant little experiment. They took some of those isolated mice and gave them a choice. They could run through a plain, bare plastic tunnel or a tunnel that was lined with soft cloth. The results were striking. The socially deprived mice overwhelmingly preferred the soft cloth tunnel. They were actively seeking out that gentle, comforting touch.
So now we've got all the pieces. We have the social rebound behavior, we've found the loneliness neurons in the hypothalamus, and we know about the critical role of touch. So let's put it all together and look at the complete circuit of social connection.
And this is the real payoff, the big aha moment. When the researchers monitored the mice's brains while they were interacting with that soft cloth, they saw it happen in real time. Gentle touch directly flipped the switch. It quieted down the loneliness neurons and fired up the social satiation neurons. It was the physical sensation of touch that was silencing the loneliness alarm.
So here's the whole story, start to finish. It all begins with a lack of touch. This lets those loneliness neurons fire up, creating that unpleasant, nagging feeling that makes you want to find company. That drive pushes you to seek out social contact. And when that social touch finally happens, it activates these satiety neurons, which then shut down the loneliness neurons, finally turning off that alarm and satisfying that fundamental need to connect.
And this all leaves us with a really big, important question to think about. If loneliness isn't a character flaw or just a simple emotion, but a hardwired biological drive encoded by specific circuits in our brains, on the same level as hunger and thirst, how does that change the way we think about it? And maybe more importantly, how should we start to treat it, both in our society and in our own lives?